Hey, greetings from Texas. All right, today we're going to take a look at the Votatu laser sights. Dave from Dave's Hunting, Shooting, and Bushcraft put me in touch with Votatu, and they reached out and asked if I would do a review of one of their products. So I'm not sponsored by them. They did, however, PayPal me the money, and I purchased. They didn't tell me which one to buy, so I bought the ML4 series, the low profile series for the M-Lock adapter, but they wanted me to review the P4L series. Anyway, they said I could keep that, and I went ahead and purchased the PL4 myself. So I can do the evaluation. Plus, I also have the two formats. So the P4L here is a Picatinny mount, and the M4L series is the M-Lock mount. Another fellow YouTuber that did an evaluation besides Dave, it was Gunwild1. And anyway, I'll have a link to their channels and their evaluations and reviews of the product, so you can go check them out. They're two great guys. Anyway, with the M4L series, with the M-Lock, you can purchase the Picatinny conversion. So you can mount your M-Lock device here, and in my opinion, if you want more versatility, order the M-Lock with the adapter, and then you can go two different ways. You can mount this on an M-Lock, which would be a rail like this, or the standard Picatinny rail mount. So this kind of gives you the versatility. If you just get the Picatinny mount, then you're relegated to putting it on a Picatinny rail system. I will have a slideshow at the end of this with all the particular specs if you're into the specs. I'm not doing a scientific evaluation. I'm just doing a consumer review. So we're going to take a look at this, and then I'm going to mount them on a couple of different platforms, and then we'll go out and shoot it. Now I have a little bit of experience with laser sights. As a firearms instructor at our department, we had the Crimson Tide series on our 6-hour handguns, and we had them on the SWAT team. There's limitations to lasers. Tactically, you have to define what you're buying them for. You know, as far as your mission specifics go. Around shooting, if you're going to use it tactically for self-defense, there's considerations, and you know, if you're going to use them for hunting. So we're going to get into that in just a little bit. So let's go ahead and take a look at this P4L series. Now this is the green. I prefer the green personally, but they also make it in the orange or red and a blue. So it comes very well packed. This is the first time I'm opening this device here. Get your user's manual, typical, nicely packed. Here's the unit itself, and you get a charging cable and a little toolkit. There's a screw and 2 hex head wrenches in there. Off the get-go, I'm liking this. Low profile. That's a little under an inch in thickness, about 3.5 inches long. Again, I'll have the specs at the end of the video. You have your USB charging cable. I like the fact that it doesn't have batteries that you have to change, and this connection here is magnetic. so you don't have a USB port that could get filled up with grime and things like that. You have your adjustment, which you use the smaller hex head key for. It looks to be fairly high-grade aluminum. But I'm liking that. I think the charge time is about 1.5 hours for a full charge, and I'm not sure about the total total run time. So here's kind of a look at it. Okay, the switch. All right, you press it here, it's on. You can click it off, and we're just toggling the top of the button. Now, if you press it twice, you'll get a strobe feature. Tactically, you want this off and on. You don't want to be moving around with your weapon. Otherwise, you're just going to telegraph your location. All right. Real quickly, let's take a look at this M4L series. Now, when you purchase these things, if you're going to purchase them, make sure you get the real gun models. They make airsoft models. This one here I purchased as a rifle unit. Same thing with this. They make a compact version if you're going to mount it on a handgun. So this one's just a little over a 1/2 inch thick, 4 inches long, and it has basically the same features, with the exception that this switch here is harder to reach. There we go. It has a strobe function too. So personally, if I was going to pick one for self-defense, I would go with this P4L, just because of the larger button. Otherwise, they're going to pretty much function the same. Again, if you get the M-Lock version, you can use the Picatinny adapter and go cross-platform. I'm going to talk a little bit about mounting these things. In my opinion, the best place to mount them is under the bore or on top of the bore. If you mount it left or right, you're going to have windage considerations past your point of convergence. So here we have our baseline, which is our bore axis. And down here we have our laser, which is mounted underneath the bore. This arc represents, is kind of exaggerated, the path of the bullet. So if your firearm is sighted in at a certain yards, let's just say this is 25 yards, the bullet path and your line of sight and the bore are going to merge. In this case, we have the laser underneath the bore, and if we make our convergence point, or we sight it in at 25 yards, past 25 yards, the laser is going to print higher than the bore axis, this distance here. If you mount it on the top, it's the reverse. Your laser is going to be pointed here past 25 yards. So that's easier to deal with than mounting it on the side, because if you mount it on the left side past this point of convergence, you're going to be off to the right. And if you mount it on the right, you're going to be off to the left. For tactical purposes, which is mostly what my background is, I would, for home defense, I would sight it in at 25 yards. The difference of the point of impact is going to be the difference of the distance between your laser sight and your bore axis. So about 1.5 inches to 2 inches difference. So when you're shooting any kind of defense threat, that's insignificant. So your point of impact's only going to be off that much at that distance. At 50 yards, it's going to be off that much distance, and that you could compensate. If you're going to use it for hunting, you're going to have to use Kentucky windage. Again, if you're mounting it left or right, you're going to have to deal with holding either right or left past your conversion point, which is something that you don't want to calculate in a defense situation. Okay, again, to review, off on, double click is a strobe. All right, so we're going to mount this on a Archangel 22, it's a Ruger 22 conversion that I made. And it has a Picatinny rail. So we're going to mount this on it. And what we're going to do is we're going to co-witness this with the red dot sight that I have on it. Now, if you are mounting this and you're going to co-witness on iron sights, you want this point, laser point, to be just above or slightly above your front sight. That way, when you are using your iron sight, you should be able to see that laser dot, and that allows you to use the laser by looking down your normal sight plane. So I hope that makes sense. All right, I'm gonna mount this. I'm gonna be careful not to do it on the video. YouTube's really funny about doing work on guns. So let's get this thing mounted and then we'll go out and shoot. Okay, I'll be mounting this on this Picatinny rail as far forward as I can get it. So we'll come back when that's done. Okay, here we have it mounted on the weapon. One thing I noticed, you're going to use the larger hex head wrench. Be very careful. Make sure you have this hex head fully seated, because it's going to be very easy to strip that out if you over tighten it. So number one, don't over tighten it, and make sure your hex head wrench is fully seated. They do give you an extra mounting screw, probably just for that purpose. Your smaller screw is going to be used, or your smaller wrench is going to be used for your elevation and windage adjustments. Okay, for quick reference, I'm going to just do at close distance. I'm going to co-witness this laser sight. So off the get-go, I can see we could come up. You could fine-tune it at the range when you're out there shooting, but we just want to be on the paper. Okay, we're going to go ahead and charge it. So the cord's kind of short, but if you have a power supply like this, you just hook it up. The red indicates it's charging, and we'll take it out and shoot it when it's hopefully green. Well, it's kind of hard to see. This kind of throws it off with the iPhone, but you can see that I'm co-witnessed. It's actually making the camera's making the dots larger than they actually are. So let's take it out and go shoot it. We're out here on the range. We're going to shoot the laser sight. I went ahead and put a forehand grip on the rifle. Needless to say, it'll be easier to operate the control without something like this here, because you can just rotate your thumb down. But I also find that I could use my knuckle to turn on the light, turn it off and on. So let's get going here. Okay, we're loaded up. Safety's on. Get our eyes and ears. Turn the laser on. Can you see it on the steel plates? One thing I found handy as a firearms instructor is it's a good self-instructional tool, the laser on a handgun or a rifle. As a firearms instructor, I could watch the laser dot to see if the shooter was jerking their trigger, pulling their shots or whatever. Also, from a tactical sense, you could use the laser for practicing shooting on the move. And you could watch your muzzle bounce as you're going along. All right, that being said, let's, and I'm looking through the red dot, but the red dot's not on, so I'm looking for the laser beam. Okay, so we are way low. Okay, we made an adjustment. What was wrong was when I bore sighted it or co-witnessed it in the garage, I was too close, and I also had the height over bore of the red dot sight. So that's why it was printing low. I just did a quick adjustment, made it come up. There you can see the dot. Let's go ahead and, all right, let's go ahead and take a shot. All right, let's shoot it without sighting. Let's just use the laser dot. Well, there you have it. It works like any other laser sight that I've used. My overall opinion for the price point, I think it's a great deal, a great introductory laser, great for just general shooting. And I think if it performs like this, it'd be adequate for home defense. Lasers have their limitations. They're really great in close quarters combat with night vision goggles, but most people don't have access to those. But other limitations is if you throw a flashbang or there's smoke from muzzle, gunfire and whatnot, a laser has some limitations. It could also, if you don't use proper light discipline, telegraph your location. And shining a laser into a bank of smoke, you're gonna get it reflecting back, things like that. Anyway, yeah, I would recommend it for the price point, under $60. Prices vary, Amazon. I'll have a link down below. At the end of this, after the slides of the specs, will be the discount code that they're offering between November 25th through November 28th. So take advantage of it if you're looking to buy somebody a Christmas gift, or you want to buy one for yourself. I'll give it a thumbs up. I mean, it is what it is for the price point, and so I think it's a good value. It works.